God of High School is mediocre at best. I'm just gonna start the video off by throwing myself into the deep end. There's literally no need to tiptoe around it. I'm pretty sure 90% of people are thinking it anyway. Now, before we get into the nitty gritty, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and to also hit that notification bell to be notified when I drop another video. Plus, if you would like to see me get angry about more anime, you should check out my other rants. So without further ado, let's get right into this video. I know I'm probably a little late to the party, but realistically, it's never too late to say something shit. The problem I have with the God of High School is that every single aspect of the show, besides the animation, which I will give major kudos to because it's pretty crisp, even though I don't know if the characters are always just cold or embarrassed or blushing, or a lot of them just like to wear a cheeky bit of blusher. Besides that, everything else is nothing special, and I'm not saying that just to trigger people, but because I genuinely feel like it's not unique at all, despite what fanboys and critics are claiming. Most of these critics are saying that it's ushering in a whole new era of anime because it's new ground that has never been seen before. Firstly, these babies, they're not ready to pack up and go. And number two, we've already seen this plotline done though. Baki the Grappler, Penguin Ashura, or literally any anime about teenagers fighting each other. And still on the topic of the plot is pretty bad. Apparently some idiot thought it would be a good idea to adapt 10 chapters of the manga per one episode. Because of this idiotic decision, the pacing is all over the place, since there's so many fights and things happening in these chapters that they're so desperately trying to condense into one episode. Every single thing is either rushed over, or just skipped, and you're kind of just expected to go with the flow, even if the logic behind it is non-existent. Why? Because the plot said so. There's never any build up to scenes or substance provided beforehand to make a fight relevant or to just make you care about what is going on. Instead, it relies so heavily on shock value, on oohs and ahs to keep you entertained, which is insulting to say the least. You don't need a rushed fight scene every 10 seconds to keep me from turning the show off. An example of how the makers of this show don't know how to set up a scene or pace for shit is the first time the main protagonist, Jin Mori's grandfather, is seen on screen. In the show, he's hyped up to be this badass and undefeated in battle, and there's even people coming after the main guy just because he's related to him. He's supposed to be a big deal, but then he proceeds to lose the very first match we see him in. So we kinda just don't care, and the fighting scene falls flat and feels a bit redundant. Maybe if they, I don't know, took time to build up this character properly by actually showing him being a badass instead of just forcing us to accept it by telling us, I probably wouldn't have died of laughter when he got his ass beat. This pacing issue is a really big problem, not only for the plot, which already doesn't really have legs to walk on, but on all the action or fighting scenes in the show. Need I remind you that this is a fighting anime? This is one of the highlights or major components in the show. It kinda has to be great. It's literally like a romance anime with shitty romance. As I already said before, most of the battles are really rushed, so there's no room for meaningful tactics and or interesting mind games. The fights, progression, and logistics are basically pulled right out of the creator's ass. The basis of every fight is basically this: who has a stronger energy blast? Or I bet you didn't see this special attack I always knew how to do but conveniently never used until this very moment. Like, honestly, don't even get me started on the power scaling. The writers of this show legit were just like, power scaling? What is that? A power system that makes sense and provides a feel of what to expect? Nah, I'll pass. Like, I could have sworn that there was a scene where a guy summons a bleeding hammer that was the size of Antarctica and passes out as soon as the attack was blocked. Like, what the fuck am I actually watching? I didn't know I was watching an episode of Tom and Jerry. Why can this man do that? Why did he fall unconscious like that? Like, are my questions eventually going to be answered? No. The answer is always no, despite the fact that without these explanations, no one actually knows what's going on. The fight literally has no context. It's just a huge hammer materializing out of thin air and a man falling unconscious. Yeah. Random shit doesn't equal any emotional or literal investment from anyone with a working brain cell. If you look back at the most iconic fights like Naruto vs Sasuke or even Bakugo vs Midoriya, yeah, there's cool action sequences and great fight choreography, but there's a story behind it. Every punch means something to the character and in turn means something to the viewer. Even in fights that don't feel like there's an underlying story behind it, there always is, even if it's not a huge one. For example, Madara vs the Shinobi Alliance points in Naruto. That's a major spoiler, by the way. Yes, that fight was filled with sick choreography, but the Shinobi Alliance is fighting to save their world, their home, and Madara is trying to take over their world by placing them in an eternal dreamlike state. Boom, opposing goals established. Boom, instant conflict and tension. Boom, stakes. Like, it's not rocket science. And that brings me to the good old characters. Again, there's nothing special about them, nothing worth my investment. They're idiotically written and lack any bit of intelligence, which is reflected in their motivation and goals. Mira, who is part of the main trio, wants a reverse harem when she wins. That's her goal, despite being able to get anything she wants if she wins. Junmori is the main protagonist and is another Goku knockoff, but with a twist. He's a hypocrite. He claims he doesn't want to borrow powers and wants to get stronger on his own, yet he already chomped on some lovely devil fruit and that gave him some lovely power. How noble of you. And the other fella with the slits for eyes is nothing to write home about. Iwi, I think it is. Well, he's just another beg that enjoys beating women up until they're a bloody pulp. By the way, said woman is completely okay with them licks she received. Maybe you guys should talk about that. Like, I suspect that beating up one of your female friends to a point of hospitalization will warrant a bit of friction in the friendship. Or just anything. Give me anything. Oh, I guess you'd rather cheer him on. Cool. That's cool. There's literally nothing great about this anime. Any well-written, memorable characters? No. Remember, 10 chapters per episode. Any memorable fight scenes? 10 chapters per episode. Any thought-evoking moments? No. Instead, they have flashy fight scenes to distract you from the lack of everything. Any tension or stakes? No. There's a literal weird healing device implanted in each contestant, so no one is in actual danger or permanent risk. So what is there actually left? A nice pile of shite. For me, the term overhyped doesn't refer to something that deserves the hype. It's more when something is mediocre or shit and yet people are hyping the shit out of it like they're gonna die if they don't. Like, literally no one, and I mean no one, is gonna sit there and say Endgame was overhyped. Did it receive a lot of attention and praise? Yes. Did it deserve it? Yes. On the other hand, did the God of High School receive a lot of praise and attention? Yes. Did it deserve it? No. I just had to clarify that because there's always going to be those people that'll counteract this very much valid argument by saying that the word overhype is thrown around so loosely and that the users of this word don't know its true meaning. It really pisses me off when I see these people in the comment section or even in forums talking out of their ass like that. Like, I don't mind if you disagree with me. I actually really don't care. But it's the condescending nature of this counter argument that really does it for me. Like, how are you gonna honestly try and act prestige when you're sucking off this 2D fictional anime like a whore? Get the bleeding bow. This is no offense to anyone that likes the show. Like, if you like the show, like, you do you. Actually, leave a comment down below saying like what the reasons are that like make you like the show. This is just my like opinion, which is completely like subjective. Like, so yeah. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you can see why I think the show is overhyped. If not, then leave a comment down below explaining why you disagree. And if you're not a dickhead about it, we can hopefully get a discussion going on down there. If you also have any animes you'd like me to destroy, let me know down there too. Controversy is a popular theme on this channel, so don't be shy, guys. See you lot in my next video, and with that, I am out.